Hey, what's up, guys? Bryant Dunnigan here. We are live on location at Rush Off-Road Park. I've got Dan Carter back with us and a special guest that we told you was going to be happening this weekend. We got Matthew Holt here. What's up, buddy?
What's up, everybody? This is Matthew Holt from High Society Off-Road and driver of the hyperactive Rock Bouncer.
Okay, before we get into anything else, what is High Society Off-Road?
High Society Off-Road is my off-road shop located in Decatur, Illinois. We can do everything from mild to wild. And my slogan that I kind of came up with back when I used to work at Circuit City years and years ago, guys would come in and be like, man, I want a stereo. And I'm like, okay, what kind of stereo you want? I want a bad stereo. And I had to explain to people, well, you know, how bad do you want to be? And that's kind of my slogan for my shop, because we have, as you can see with side-by-sides and bouncers, well, do you want a side-by-side that you be $2,500 bad? Do you want a side-by-side that's $25,000 bad?
Yeah.
How bad do you want to be? How much do you want to spend, sir? We can make you be the baddest of the baddest. You know, do you want to be him? Okay, or do you want to have a good side-by-side? We can go from mild to wild. So basically, High Society Off-Road in Decatur, Illinois, we can do everything by my bouncer, my chassis. We built in-house, completely 100% myself. So we can do from small stuff like mounting on, you know, light bars like everybody else, but we can also do some custom stuff. We do a lot of truck and trailer repair,
Okay.
a lot of fabrication as well. So it's not just bolting on stuff. We do quite a bit of fabrication as well.
Right on. So how did you or why did you get into racing?
Well, that's a very interesting story. My father owned a car dealership, so I'm the son of a car dealer, you know. I got in, my dad's owned a car dealership, so he was a big gearhead, you know, a hoonigan, if you will, growing up before they hoonigans were even born. He was a gearhead, which, you know, had hot rod cars and trucks back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. So he was a big gearhead, loved hot rod cars, muscle cars was his kind of thing. So naturally, once he had kids, like, you know, we did the same thing. We thought that was cool. I grew up doing, you know, me and my brother, I have a younger brother, Nate Holt, 1.5 years younger than me today, and we've been like two peas in a pod since birth, pretty much. So we started go-karts around 2 and 3, four-wheelers 3 and 4. Motocross later on, like early teens. I think we started riding motors, like dirt bikes around like 9, 10. We started racing motocross at 13. Mud trucks, obviously Dad had lots of trucks around, so we started doing mud trucks like 14, 15, racing mud drags and mud bogs, and you know, kind of got into that, and you know, and just kind of that kind of evolved into, you know, kind of stuff like you see now.
What got you? How did you get into the broadcasting end of it?
Well. That is a whole other thing. If you talk well, and you, again, I'm kind of the pie in the tiny middle section. So you have a guy who knows a lot about vehicles, because I built my own, so I know a lot about the mechanics of it. I know parts. I've been around cars my whole life, and I know I speak good, as I like to say. So I speak well. So I'm very articulate. I can explain what's going on with the chassis, what's going on with the driver, what line he picked and why he picked that line. And again, I kind of learned, again, kind of outgoing guy, you know, very interesting personality. So I got to meet a lot of friends, hang out with a lot of people in the back pits area. So anytime anybody knew anything, I usually knew it too, because I was chatting the pits, walking, hanging out, you know, getting a turkey leg, you know, just having a good time. So, you know, I became very familiar with the racers and what they were doing, kind of the behind the scenes. So as we started looking to make a TV show, I bumped into Clyde at the PRI show in, like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. It was pretty early on. And I had just left. I had just joined the Southern Rock Racing Series at that point, and I was looking at making a TV show. And I was like, dude, we can get a cell phone. We can have a couple dudes with like a similar podcast setup like you have here. We get a cell phone. We'll have this little broadcast show. We can hook on a few cameras.
Right.
And Clyde was like, little buddy, like, don't worry about it. I got something coming. I'm like, no, Clyde, this is going to be great. We're going to the next level. Because at that point, our live feed was like his daughter. One of his daughters would just take a cell phone and walk around and just like walk through the pits and walk over the hill. Some of them maybe on the race hill.
Right. Yeah.
You never knew what you're going to see. And they were also 2 feet and 3 feet, so you never knew like what the shot was going to be. So I was trying to do big things, you know.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, he came out with a production trailer, and I was like, oh, okay, I see you.
Right.
And then he kind of said, hey, well, you know, do you want to be a part of this? And I'm like, oh, yes, this is awesome. So it's, again, just so neat to see. Again, that dude he's got stuff in the works usually a year or two in advance for the production stuff, to see multi-cameras or drones. And again, you know, he's constantly trying to push that envelope, having graphics on the screen with our pictures and our stats. And, you know, he does a great job at pushing that. And so I just really, obviously, I was kind of this goober, you know, that just hung around. You know, I would say like I'm a snot-nosed goober fan at heart. Hung around, got them into the cars, got to the courses, got to the people. And I really wanted to help push that production side a little bit farther. And it just kind of worked out that I lucked into it, and it does very well. And since then, I've got to do stuff with Hammer King Productions and stuff with Mid-America. I've done stuff at some smaller tracks, so I've got to do some bigger scale stuff as well as some smaller scale stuff for 2022 and 2023. Rock Racing TV partnered with Ultra 4, so Ultra 4 USA. So we got to go out and do, travel the country and literally do all the Ultra 4 races. So for 2 years, I essentially, about 42 events a year, we would be out traveling, doing crazy stuff, and it was just an absolutely awesome time to be part of that broadcast crew.
Right. Sure, that's a lot of traveling.
It is. We were gone last year. I was gone 3 different times for 2 weeks, and the last time I was gone, our finals, Ultra 4 finals, a SEMA show, and then I came back, hit S'more for a race that I won, and then went back home. I was gone 3 weeks and 2 days. So it's you live that on that road lifestyle,
Right. Yeah, it takes a lot of getting used to. But just the production end of things, is that why you basically stayed with Clyde stuff with the National Rock Racing Association, or you kind of eyeballed some other series and thought maybe, hey, this may be a close to race home, let me try that, or has it just been mainly wanting to stick by Clyde's side and show his support from him?
Yeah, essentially, yes. To answer your question, yes. I am kind of loyal to Clyde. Clyde's helped me out a lot of ways. Clyde's done some really awesome things that, people don't know because he does it behind the scenes. So
right.
Fans don't get to know that, racers don't get to know that. So he's helped me out a lot of ways, and I have a big heart for Clyde. And he also is one trying to drive the sport. I was kind of say the National Rock Racing Association is kind of the premier series, the premier league. It's like it's like the NFL, if you will. There's other series out there. There's stuff like the Canadian Football League and XFL. And
right.
I'm not knocking those guys and saying they're beneath me. I'm just saying they're not maybe as professional, or they're not trying to push the production side of it. I feel like Clyde is really trying to push that into the
right.
new millennium, as well as I still do some mud drags, some mud bogs. We have a little hometown event, a little county fair on the edge of my hometown. It's in Mount Zion. It's called the Pony Express Days. And they have a mud drag that I still race every year. Sometimes I'll race 2 or 3 trucks in 2 different classes, and we go out and have a lot of fun with it. And it's just such a good time. We take a car trailer, 20, 30, 40-foot car trailer, turn it sideways, put some easy ups on it. We have a big fan we'll set up, and literally we have our own Holt family grandstands that will be packed full of, we
right.
have a big cooler full of beverages and some snacky snacks, and we'll hand them out. And you make a lot of friends on a hot day. You got
right.
a bunch of cold beverages.
Right.
Make a lot of friends real quick.
Well, I've got to stop you there, because you have coined the term snacky snacks, and everybody knows you for that. I got to know where that comes from.
I was just talking about it, I think at Ultra 4 one year. I'm like, man, I could use some snacks. I said, I love some snacky snacks, and it just stuck. And like since then, people are like, make a T-shirt. I said, I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says snacky snacks in the front, and then Matt Holt Racing on the back, and just people are like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Like, and I always kind of refer back to the Gone in 60 Seconds. They're like talking about all the stuff, and he's like, hey, who's Gilligan here? And he's like, Gilligan's actually Fred. He orders a mean pizza, and then he goes, he's like, hey, everybody's got to eat, right? And I kind of laugh because I'm like, it's true. Like, everybody eats snacky snacks,
Yeah.
So it's a good time. I enjoy them.
All right, so the big reason, I guess, we're having you on this week, we talked back a while about, and me and Dan talk about it a lot,
Yep.
Right.
about the sponsorship stuff, and we really push it, and we really push guys to try and work it, because we know that you're not going to make money racing.
Right.
Not with your winnings.
Yep.
You've got to make other streams to at least make it more affordable.
Right.
And we feel like you're one of the better people for that you present yourself well. So like today, I guess is we want to get into that a little bit.
Right.
Because it's usually just me and him yapping.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people don't want to listen to us.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring in outside counsel.
Yeah.
Outside
Right.
counsel.
Yep.
Yeah,
I appreciate
and
it.
it's like kind of the deal that who are you guys to talk about sponsorship? And it's like, well, we know Matt Holt, and that's how we
Hey,
talk
yeah,
about sponsorship.
absolutely.
But like
Yeah.
if you'll listen to, it was this season season 2, episode 9, we talked a little bit in depth about sponsorships, and there's a lot that goes on with sponsorships, and we're like, Matt's a prime example, and then it's like, well, we've got to just get Matt on the show. He can kind of go in depth on some things and kind of mentor you guys and let you know what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you should look for in a sponsor, how to handle your sponsors, and how sometimes it's okay to say no to a sponsor.
Absolutely.
So-
I have some notes about that as well.
So let's just dive into it.
Okay, so that was a great intro. I love marketing and sponsorships. I love it. I started out racing. To give you a little quick background, I started racing 2017. We were looking as a way. So I have an off-road shop. I wanted to either build a mega truck or a rock bouncer or an Ultra 4 car because I have lots of tubing if you build a full tube chassis mega truck, rock bouncer, ultra 4 car, lots of tubing, and it can showcase what my high society off-road shop can do.
Right.
And so I was looking for essentially a rolling billboard, rolling business card.
Yeah.
You see a big mega truck, it's tall, you can wrap it, looks crazy. Even if it does just goes to puddles and hops around, people still go, that's cool,
Right.
Ultra 4, it kind of showcases the fabrication side as we start building chassis and doing, and mainly it's just a business card.
Right.
I was looking for that. Sean Cross, at that point, put a thing out there, shout out, hey, looking for some guys to team up with me this year. Long story short, me and my brother and Sean Cross partnered together, got a rock bouncer. I actually bought the Joe Dirt buggy from Sean Cross. We put a race team together. We took turns racing it because we all couldn't afford to do it financially that year or time-wise. At the end of that season, we sold the buggy. I ended up selling it actually back to Sean, and then I built my own, and I've been doing it ever since. I went to a class, essentially, and it kind of really set my heart on fire and really set my ways of learning about marketing and stuff, because I was like, I'm going to make this work, and I don't care if I got to just do it by my own stinking bootstraps. When I started racing nationwide, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was, I couldn't spell the word marketing. I didn't know nothing about it. I thought you just called people up and said, I want money, and they go, great, I'm a race car driver, and they hand you a big bag full of money.
Right.
If only.
It turns out that is not the way that happens.
Yeah.
It's not as convenient as that. I learned very quickly. Unfortunately, it's kind of rough. So I took a really hard, rough, punch mouth situation with sponsoring. Basically, I sat down, took a notebook, and I wrote like one page of people that I knew would say yes to my sponsorship, another page of people that might say yes, another page of people that probably wouldn't say yes, but I'll call them anyway, and then it definitely knows, but I still wouldn't write on the sheet.
Right.
I called 76 people, and they basically were like, yeah, no way. Click. I was going to give them a year worth of sponsorship for $1,000. They got your name on the car, name on a shirt. We were going to wear it all the races, and I gave them everything. We're going to come to your business, do your customer appreciation day. We're going to have hot dogs. I promised them the world for $1,000. And that's divided over 12 months. Like, you can make payments of $80 a month or whatever. You could make payments. We would do whatever you want to do.
And that's a good deal.
Amazing.
I mean,
you should see the flyers. They were incredible. I think I called 78 people before I got my first yes. And it was a good buddy of mine, Tyson Mahan, was like, that's awesome. Heck yeah, I'd love to do that. That's great, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I'll never forget it. Super stoked. And then once I had the first yes, I think it drove me even more to lock them down. But so I kind of went through a rough knot, and I realized this is not the easiest I thought it was going to be. So I had to start making phone calls, and I ended up buying some books, and I've listened to some podcasts like your guys's, and go to TED Talks, and PRI Show is a great place to meet people and talk some stuff about. SEMA Show, not so much. It's a great show, but it's more of a car show, where PRI is more of a racing show.
Right.
So it's a little bit better. First thing is, like, who, when you're talking about sponsors, who needs sponsors? And I kind of made a quick list. Racers. That's racers need sponsors, right?
Yeah.
But you're also competing against junior high marching bands, knitting clubs, Girl Scout troops, Olympians, 5K, charities, orphanages, influencers on TikTok, live streamers, youth group kids that go to summer camp. So when you say I need a sponsor, I mean, what kind of sponsorship are you talking about? That kind of is the big overall thing.
Right.
Is, who are you going at? And again, the talk we're going to talk about today, a lot of stuff we're talking about, it applies to all of those people.
Right, yeah.
Whether you're a Girl Scout club, a live streamer, or an off-road race car driver. So that's some of the people that you're competing against when you're doing your marketing plan. You need to make sure you understand that fully.
Right.
You're competing against live streamers who are doing 2 million views a week.
Right. And the main thing to think of is your competition. Whether it's to do with sponsorship or racing, you need to know your competition. And let me go ahead and tell you, when you're a race car driver and you have any type of competition that sells Girl Scout cookies, you've got your work cut out for you. So it needs to be tip-top shape. Right.
Yeah, they're very organized.
Right.
So what's some of the top things people need to do if they're looking to get sponsored?
That is kind of a giant bag we'll try to unfold today. Obviously there's, for sponsorship, essentially you're saying, hey, I'm going to give you something, and you're going to give me something. I always kind of talk about like a dump truck. If I said, hey, I need some rock, I'm going to pay you money, you're going to bring a dump truck full of rock, you're going to dump the rock out. Okay? Pretty easy. But dump up, yep. So I see it pull in full, the rock dumps out, and you drive off. So I know I got my money's worth.
Right. But
sometimes through things, the dump truck shows up and it's not very full. There's only 2 inches of rock on the bottom.
Right.
Or it shows up way late. The week after you're supposed to start pouring concrete. We got to have the rock patted down and smooth.
Right.
And it shows up the week after you're supposed to start pouring concrete. That's not really going to work. Or the guy shows up and it's way over flooded with rock, and you're like, it's way too much rock. Or maybe the guy's giving you way more than you paid for.
Right.
Which makes you happy. And you're going to call all your friends and tell them about it. So when you think about sponsorship, I want you to think about that, and kind of that's an easy breakdown that everybody can understand sponsorship and marketing. And marketing is kind of the overall term. A sponsorship is just someone giving you money and you're giving them something in return, whether it be hauling dump truck load or marketing essentially. And there's lots of companies that have big budgets for marketing.
Right.
Coca-Cola, they spend a lot of money in advertising. Pepsi, Miller Welders. I can think of Nike. What do you think Nike spends in marketing each year?
A few dollars.
Yeah. They Jordan makes it back for them. They do okay. I mean, they're all eating okay.
Right.
But you really have to understand that, and sometimes sponsorship we can diagnose it just for race car drivers, whether it be an on-road car with drag car, NHRA, NASCAR. I've gotten to see some NASCAR contracts, which is really kind of cool.
Right.
And so, any type of racing in general, it could be a lawnmower or it could be some high-dollar, $2 million. Cigarette boat. It can be anything in the spectrum.
Right. And you mentioned marketing, and like there's kind of a gray area when you say marketing, because a lot of people think marketing, that's what they set aside for a race program.
Yes.
And that's not true.
No.
So for those that don't know, what is marketing, or what's your thoughts on marketing?
Yeah, so marketing, I wrote it down. Marketing is defined as the activities a company undertakes to promote buying or selling of its product or services. So if I'm Coca-Cola and I buy a billboard, that's marketing.
Right.
I'm advertising for my company. You're driving over this big overpass in your hometown, and you look over and see a billboard. It's hot outside, your air conditioning ain't working, you see this ice cold Coca-Cola on a billboard, and you're like, bro, I could use an ice cold Coke. You've been at McDonald's, and you're like, hey, fire one up, homie. Give me two of them. I'll drink both of them.
Right, right.
So, whether it be a sweet tea or Coca-Cola, whatever, trying to get that McDonald's beverage. So, I mean, that's essentially they're trying to provoke some type of action.
Right.
And again, like I said, billboards are a great example. And so marketing is just essentially trying to promote you as an active act that the company does, trying to get you to do something.
Right.
And obviously, what they're trying to do is get you to buy your product. That's why car sales kind of come into play, because car sales is someone you come in a lot and you're like, well, I'm thinking about this car. It's the job for the salesman to get you in that new car today.
Right.
So essentially, car sales is like marketing at the highest level, because they're trying to put you in that car today. Let's take the test drive and see how you can put that in that car.
Right.
Okay, so kind of this is where it starts getting confusing for people, I think. Explain to us a little bit the difference between marketing and branding.
Okay. So marketing and branding are kind of two different things. Branding talks a little bit about, think of The Rock. The Rock is a great example. The Rock is a brand, okay? Marketing is trying to promote you to get you to do something, and what a brand is something that is. Meaning, and again, I always have great examples like DeWalt Tools is always a great example of branding, or John Deere, or I'm trying to think of some other names. I think I wrote a few down there. Iron Man, DeWalt, Snap-on, Warren Winch, Legos, Coca-Cola, Nike, Snickers, Ziploc, Ford, Apple. When you think of these companies, and the old kind of thing is, we can talk a little about branding. DeWalt makes a drill.
Right.
Okay? And Black & Decker makes a drill. If you go, we can run down to Walmart. There's one here in town. We can run down to Walmart. DeWalt. They probably don't sell DeWalt, but they can buy a Black & Decker.
Right.
$20, $19.95. Plugs in the wall, has a little hand chuck. It'll take up to like a 1/4-inch drill bit. Buy you a drill for $19.95. That's a good drill. I can hang some pictures with it. Or we can go buy this heavy-duty DeWalt drill that might be $250. What makes your brain, and this is something you can think about, what makes your brain go, $250, that's a good deal for that DeWalt. I'm going to buy that DeWalt. Or Makita, or
Right.
Milwaukee. So when you look at that, you go, hey, we have one brand that's $20 and one brand that's $250, but you know what? I'm going to get a really good value out of that one that's $250 versus the one that's $20. Branding helps you understand that. If I go buy some really crappy Chinese tools versus a Snap-on wrench is like $200 by itself. You want to buy a set, it's like $1,200.
Oh yeah.
So versus you can go buy a whole set of wrenches at Walmart for $19.95. Chances are, I'm not saying they wouldn't work one time or a little bit here and there, but they may not work the best long term. So you go, hey, listen, because this brand is not as good as brand A and brand B, let's look at brand B. The Rock is a great example of branding. If The Rock, he's a very strong guy. He works out regularly. He's a great fitness guy. He's more of a family-friendly guy. He has his wife and his kids. He has some tattoos represented to his family heritage. So if I was like, hey, I want to create something I'm going to sponsor my new meth company, he's probably not going to be down for that, okay? Because that's not with his brand, okay?
Right.
But if I had a new energy drink coming out, or if I had a new health drink, or a new line of yoga pants, The Rock I could see him and Kevin Hart doing some really comedy skit, involving yoga pants because that's their health, that's fitness,
Right.
that's right on brand with him. So sometimes I would say, again, we'll get into a little bit later about sometimes I think you'll see guys not do a deal.
Right.
They may offer him hundreds of thousands of dollars, but like, hey, it's not really on brand
Yeah.
with me, and that's not a route I want to go.
It's got to be a good fit.
It is. And again, one of the things I wrote down is like, if I said, hey, I'm going to go buy a new tractor, and you're like, oh, cool, and then you saw me the next day pulling in here with the tractor, and miles away, you saw it was green, you already know what brand it is.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You,
Yeah,
don't have to go, oh, well, I wonder what it is. You see, it's green. It's
Yeah.
John Deere, baby. It's that John Deere
Well,
green.
and that is, for us specifically, or me, that's one of the things that I really think of when I'm, okay, so I really pride myself in designing wraps. I couldn't do one for you.
Yep.
I can't. There's no way. But I really pride myself in designing them for us.
Yes.
Because I have a theme and a brand.
Yes.
Right.
That I want. When we roll in, people need to know who that belongs to.
Right.
I mean, that's just I love that.
And again, side note, for those of you who watch the live feed of the Southern Rock Racing Series or National Rock Racing Association, depending on how long you've been watching, we talk constantly, including today. Today was
Yeah.
our Feature Driver Friday from Mr. Dan Carter.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate the support. I mean, it was awesome to see. Like, anytime I see my shirts anywhere, I'm at a loss for words, but like, I'll only see like 10 or so a weekend, but when I see like 50, I'm like, who's giving away all my shirts?
So
I mean, it's just awesome. I appreciate
it's-
the support.
Dan, and I know Dan was teamed up with Rock Life Off-Road Group. So the Rock Life Off-Road Group and Dan Carter Racing are such a great fit because both of them, individually I've talked to you guys, both of you together have such a great marketing plan that obviously the merch, the signage, the wraps, like, it all looks phenomenal. And I could not say enough awesome things about you guys.
I appreciate
I mean,
that.
your merch, your wraps, the new car, again, unveiling it, showing it like on the trailer, watching you pass it on the way here on Snapchat. Like, I mean, you were leaking little stuff to it, and then you got here, you posted a little walk around. Like, just some of the stuff you're doing, again, helping create that buzz. Not all of us could be on the podium every week. Not all of us could win 8 championships on a row, okay? So obviously, if I'm Tim Cameron, I win 8 championships in a row, I can do a little walk around, it's going to get 1 million views. But to a guy, like myself at least, I'll pick on myself, to a guy who's not going to be on the podium each week, I'm okay with doing my own social media because I can do that, and again,
Right.
I can do that, do cool stuff, and create a lot of brand recognition for Matt Holt Racing, the same as Dan Carter or Rock Like Off-Road, and you guys do a phenomenal job. And we brag on the live feed constantly. I wish I could see more racers I've seen it slowly. Rowdy Boy Racing, they have some awesome, cool merch. He has a picture on the back. It's him. He's like, 6, 8 years old, and he's standing there with his trophy on the back of his own shirt. I'm like, that's
Right.
dope. I'm like, I need to make that shirt for myself. Like, I'm good. That's so Gucci, like. So I think that you guys do a really great job at that, and it's so awesome to see, again, you guys teaming up and having. I love when anytime I know you're doing something, it's gonna be top tier. I know it.
We put a lot of effort into it.
Right.
To if nothing else, we may show up and be slow, but damn it, we're going to look good doing
That's
it.
right.
And that's, again, that episode 2.9, you mentioned that. You say, hey, you know what? Matt Holt always shows up. His rig's always clean. I mean, the rims aren't necessarily polished every single race, but it's clean. It looks good. Again, there's times I've literally went 10 feet and blew a motor, smoked a transmission. I mean, I've had some rough races where things break a ground wire to a fuel pump and
Right.
you're done for the day. It's like
That's right.
so frustrating. But at the same time, there's nothing that says you can't show up and look good. The truck can look good. The trailer can look good. Everything can work good to the best of your ability. Again, none of us can see the future, and I'm not like some, 1,200, 1,600 horsepower guy. I'm currently running a $1,400 junkyard motor. I mean,
Ooh.
I don't like to brag.
Ooh.
I did pay for that one. Usually like $650 to $850, Obviously we got a tune on there and we got some other stuff on there, but it's, the core engine I run is, $650 to $850 for a 6-liter LS. I love telling people that right now anyway, until we get our supercharged some other stuff on. But I love telling people, because I'm like, you could be a racer too. I started out going as a team. Me and a bunch of guys had to pool our money together to
Right.
race.
Yeah.
But we still had our buggy wrapped. I still had sponsors on the side of it. I literally sat there and called the next step. If I couldn't get that done, I'd have went door to door.
Right.
Are you guys willing to go door to door? Oh, I can't find any sponsors. Oh, really? Really?
I find that most people that can't find them don't look.
Right.
It's so true.
That's-
People, if you're willing to go door to door, you will get what you need. People will go,
Right.
you know what? I see you, buddy. Years ago, I heard a saying, and it was Chris Rock talks about it. He said, you know what? When I was sitting in my car, broke down, just sitting there on my cell phone, nobody wanted to come help me. But I got out and I started pushing that car through the intersection. you would be amazed how many people will hop out and help you.
That's
When they
right.
see you struggling and you just can't quite get there, but they see you're struggling, they see your work, and they see you're putting that effort in, those dudes will absolutely jump out and go, hey, man, I got you, dog. Don't worry about it.
Right. Well, and positivity attracts positivity.
100%.
So, and that's one thing that I love about you. Like, I've only seen you been out of shape one time, and you really wasn't even been out of shape. You just had a bad day, and I was like, hey, man, if there's anything I need to do to help, let me know. You're like, I got it. And you still had a smile on your face. I knew you were pissed.
What race was it?
We were in Disney,
Okay.
and I don't. You just had loaded the car. You were fixing to load the car.
Okay.
And you were like off on a little pig trail, like you were broke down. I was like, you're good? I'm good. But I mean, you're always positive.
Yep,
Like, it doesn't
yep.
matter if you have the shittiest day ever.
Yep.
You're coming out, wiping it off, slinging
Yeah.
it out on the ground,
Yep.
and biggest smile ever. And that's why I think it's important, because we've always talked about how it's how you carry yourself also. And this may be kind of getting us off
No.
schedule.
I agree.
But you know, it's all about, you know, staying happy, keeping positive thoughts and vibes. And then I don't know where I was going with that, but I mean, it's just one of those things that if you're negative all the time, you're not having a good time, you're out here throwing your helmet on the ground.
Yeah.
That's not going to attract sponsors. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's the way you carry yourself also. But I know we had talked about, you know, reaching out, going door to door,
Yep.
knocking on the door.
Yep.
Like, how do you advise this group of people that are seeking sponsorship? Like, what do you think's the best avenue? Like doing cold emails, cold calls, really beating on doors?
There's a lot that goes on with that. Again, if you can't, obviously, if you know a guy, like my buddy, I just picked up cell phone and called him, and he owns a big excavating company, Tice Mahana Excavating, and I called him up and said, hey, I need some money. This is what I'll give you. And he's like, all right, yeah, cool, that'd be awesome. I love that. That'd be super cool. So if you can call a guy that's really rich, that solves your problem. Unfortunately, a lot of times you can't necessarily know that guy. So how do you get information in the people? You know, essentially, we kind of talk about decks and proposals a little bit. A deck is something kind of just shows. Usually, it's like a little hero card. It kind of shows with a car, kind of some cool stuff about it, little front, little picture, or whatever. That's kind of cool because you can hand those out. You know, again, like I said, 5x8 is usually a good size. Hand them out 4x6. And, you know, I would try to make contact with that person, talk to them, do some stuff. You know, try to weasel your way in. And you know. I get how you weasel your way into company is 100% up to you, but I mean, I've tried to do some crazy stuff to get in, just to get the door down.
So something we've talked about at length before is it does help. In our industry, in this, there's a lot of automotive, a lot of side-by-side sponsors.
Yep.
A lot of sponsors of that caliber.
Yep.
It helps if you're a customer already.
It does. Right. It does.
It does make it a whole lot easier if you're reaching out looking for sponsors. I always go to the people that I do business with already first.
Yep.
Give them that opportunity, and that seems to be the easiest.
Right.
It's better than cold calling somebody you've never.
It is. And here's how a buddy at one time, I'll give you a little extra bonus here. A buddy of mine described it that way. He said, think about this. If you call me, you say, hey man, I need $20. I'll be like, oh great, what are you buying? Make some joke about something inappropriate and you $20. Don't care. It's $20. Who cares? Here you go. I'll see you next week.
Right.
But if I walked up to a total stranger and I was like, hey, give me $20, they're going to be like, get away, loser. I don't know you. I don't want to give money to you.
Exactly.
So if you can have a little bit of a connection before you start going, hey, I need some free stuff, then it's obviously going to be a whole lot harder than if you're just not, you know, cold calling, you know. So it does help if you can have it. Now, obviously there's some stuff, you know, social media is a great way to get attention.
Right.
There has been times where people have reached out to me about doing social media stuff. It sucks. Social media for me kind of sucks, and I do. Matt Holt Marketing is helping racers and do social media and do sponsorship stuff. So I have racers I deal with. I have series I help out. I do stuff. So it takes a lot of work. It is an absolute. Again, I know you guys know it is an absolute total grind. And if you don't think it is, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
It is a job that you have to clock in, set time aside for. You have to go and take pictures or buy pictures. You have to take videos or pay someone to make videos. You have to get that stuff. You got to put it on social media. You got to figure hat tag. You got to post up. You know, schedule some stuff. Like, you really need to work at your social media to make it to be appropriate. So it takes a ton of time, and you have to carve out time to do it. I don't care if you hate it. I don't care if you don't understand it. You don't like it. You either got to pay someone to do it for you,
right?
Which I can gladly do, Or or you can have someone, you got to do it yourself, and it's hard. I've learned a lot of stuff, and the thing about social media, it's such a growing animal. What it likes today, it might not like tomorrow.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
algorithm is constantly
Ever
changing.
changing.
Yes.
So you have a post and you word it just right, and you have this cool video that's awesome, and it just crushes thousands of views, tons of shares. Like, man, I'm a stud. Next week, basically the exact same thing, and you get like 18 likes, and you're like, what the heck?
Yes.
Like, same wordage, same hashtags.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
and you're just like, dude, you feel like a failure because you're like, I literally did this exact same thing last week. It's like doing 20 push-ups on Monday and doing 20 push-ups on Tuesday. You're like, but I couldn't even do 2 push-ups. It's
Right.
kind of crazy to me just to see all that and see how that unfolds. So social media is ever changing, so you need to be paying attention. Looking, again, if I wanted to get it into, let's say, basket weaving, if I'm going to get into basket weaving, I'm going to go find people on social media that are doing that. And I'm going
Right.
to watch what they do very closely. What hashtags are they using? What conferences are they going to?
Right.
Who's the best basket weaver around? Maybe I can watch some books, study them, watch YouTube videos, and really learn to be the best basket weaver I can be. And then I'm going to try to either sell my product. Hey, it's the best product out there. Or, hey, maybe I'm just getting it from China. It's the cheapest product out there. Again, figure out how to sell that, and you're going to push that sale. That's marketing, essentially, And again, you can promote that. You can show yourself weaving on a live stream. You can do all kinds of stuff. So having that social media is great. Next thing I'll tell you is tell your story. I can't come up and say, hey, I've won 8 championships in a row. I'm on the podium each week. I'm pretty much the greatest rock bouncer driver ever. I can't say that, but I can tell my Matt Holt story. I can't tell Dan Carter's story, but I can tell Matt Holt's story. And there's nobody out there better to tell Matt Holt's story than Matt Holt.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell what's you. I'm a son of a car dealer. That's how I got into cars and trucks and jet skis and crotch rockets. Some other people might not. Hey, what'd you get? Oh, my dad was a welder. My dad, my dad was a car dealer, so I got into cars and I own a bunch of them. So, tell your story. Tell what's special to you. Nobody else. I mean, there's hundreds of podcasts. I listen to a dozen of them, like each week. Nobody can tell one. Think of music. We've played every musical note in the world, and yet every week there's new music that comes out. You're like, oh, that's awesome,
Right.
And we've been making music for a long time. Recording artists have been around for a long time. I'm like,
Sure.
And yet, Taylor Swift, perfect example. She's made the same love song 50 times in a row,
Oh, yeah.
but it's a different story with different notes every single time, and it's still great. And she sells out arenas like crazy. So she tells her story, and other people resonate and go, oh, no way, me too. I feel the same way. Be consistent. Don't have like 1 week where you post 50 times and crush it and do the greatest thing ever, posting the stories, posting reels, getting out there, and then next month don't post a single thing. You got to stay active. You got to go out and crush it. Social media, and this is a little bit about marketing. If I'm trying to come out and I'm trying to talk about social media and marketing, here's what you got to remember. Me, and I'm trying to say I'm going to get Coca-Cola to sponsor me.
Right.
Me and Mr. Live Streamer over here that's doing 10 million views every day on live stream, and me who's like, I have 237 subscribers on my YouTube channel. We're asking for the same amount.
Right.
We're both asking for $1,000 a month.
Right.
$25,000 a month, whatever it might be. So $3,500 for the season, or $3,500 a month, $3,500 per stream. I know people who get $3,500 per stream. I wear your hat, I drink your product in my stream, and it sits on the table. I'm getting $3,500 for that stream. They're doing okay. They're not hurting,
Yeah.
Right.
So again, that's what you're competing against. So if your thing is, I'll slap a sticker on the car.
Yeah.
That dude's gonna put the product in the corner of his screen and drink it and use it during his live stream 50 times. So
Right.
why would they want to slap your sticker on your car? And you're going in the woods. They're like, where are you going? What?
Right.
It's an off-road park. Okay,
Yeah.
where? It's. I've never heard of Rush, Kentucky. So it's you can really talk about that a lot. And so again, you have to kind of think of that in marketing sense. I don't care whether you race a cigarette boat or a rock bouncer or a John Deere tractor. They all are asking for sponsorship dollars.
Right.
Those you're competing against not one guy, but every guys.
Right.
So think about that. Hall Brothers Racing are good friends of mine. They own Raminator monster trucks. They're probably the largest privately owned monster truck, only second to Bigfoot. Bigfoot has like 20 trucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Hall Brothers Racing has like 6, I think. They have Raminator, Ramunition. They have the Hot Seat. They have a bunch of trucks. They used to have a tracked vehicle. It's kind of cool.
Right.
They're like half hour, 45 minutes from me. I talked to them one time about marketing. I was kind of picking their brain, asking questions. They have, you pull in. There's like 8 semis lined up. I mean, they got a legit race program. So
Right.
I was talking about how they do their marketing stuff because that's a little different than our race program. So we were talking and chatting, and I said, so how'd you lock down the Ram? That's a big deal. Ram pickup trucks is awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
They're huge. And he said, well, we started talking. He said, basically they called us and said, hey, we're looking at 3 people and you're one of them for Ram trucks to sponsor. And they're like, all right, cool, yeah, it's awesome. We'd love to do that. And then they called him like 3 months later. We're like, hey, it's down to 2. And he's like, oh, awesome. 3 months later, they call him again. Hey, we picked you. And we're like, that's so great. We love it. This is awesome. We're just so stoked. You guys, we guys called us, and 6 months later, and he goes, oh, no. We've been watching your race program for 5 years. And he's like, wait, I'm sorry. What did you say? It's 5 years.
Right.
We have watched you. We went to races and stood by you to see how you talk to fans during the show and how you talk to your employees after the show.
Right.
And they're like, whoa.
That's crazy.
And it's like, it blows my mind to think there's people, it might be a rich dude who owns a company, like Busted Knuckle Trailer sitting in front of me right now. Matt Merrick may be sitting back going, hey, I'm looking to sponsor Bouncer this year. Who can I sponsor?
Right. And you're right, because it's crazy because that happens in this sport.
More than people know.
Right.
Yes.
And I that's one of my biggest name brand sponsors. Saw me in an event and knew that I needed something.
Yep.
And you know, it's one of those things, like, you always try to be respectful to everybody, but you're mad and throwing your helmet down because you had a bad run.
Yep.
May ruin it for you.
Or getting in a fist fight in the parking lot. Like
Right.
I have friends with Dirt Track. I sponsor some Dirt Track, sponsor some Demolition Derby cars.
Right.
I've seen some Dirt Track guys flat out fist fight in parking
Yeah.
lot. And I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
Yeah. So I'm like, I mean, again, you have to, again, that is not on brand with me. I'm not saying I couldn't defend my honor if I had to, but it would have to be a pretty extreme situation. Not
Right.
like this guy cut me off, you know.
The thing that gets me, and this is UTV specific.
Yep.
In our class, there is a lot of vendor sponsors.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I hate to see is somebody goes up and their parts fail that they're running from a sponsored, and then they all this stuff junk, and
Yep.
throwing a fit, and I'm like, and I'm standing there listening to it as a business owner that is also involved in sponsoring. I'm like,
Yep.
so if I give you something and it breaks, is it going to be
Yep.
junk too?
Right.
I've had parts fail from sponsors,
Right.
and no one ever knew about it. We
Yeah.
take it off the car, we give it to them, we take pictures, whatever they
Right.
need from us,
And-
we talk about it.
And that's part, the way I feel about it, that's part of their ROI. Because
part
when-
of the R&D too.
Yeah, I mean, we had a company who was one of the first sponsors that I got on board with. They were making kingpins for steering knuckles, and we went through them things left and right, and then finally got it dialed down
Yeah.
to figure out what was causing
Yeah.
them to break. And then, they started producing one of the hardest to beat kingpins that's for the steering linkages on the cars.
And
So-
you can be like, yeah, I'm R&D, and obviously once they get big and famous and rich, they're going to remember that, hey, so
Right.
this guy here, he went through a lot of trouble making sure our product was perfected,
Right.
and we appreciate that. We're going to stand behind him now that I'm rich and famous. Hey, we're going to bump you up. We're going to, instead of just giving you product now, we're now going to give you product and a check each
Right,
month
right.
just to help you with fuel. Fuel's way up. We'll help you in different ways. And there's a lot of different things you can do. As far as social media go, there's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, etc. Again, I put in my notes here. There's guys making $1,500 to $3,000 per post. Obviously, we all know, like, Kim Kardashian. She's like $1 million a post.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
wears your T-shirt or cologne in her post. It's $1 million for a post.
Yeah.
Right.
So people are like, well, I don't understand. Social media, I'm not into that internet stuff. Well, don't be. That's okay. That means more for. I'd much rather take your money. That's silly stuff. You don't need to work with it.
And
Right.
talking about that real quick, I want to mention this. And most of our seasoned drivers in the National Rock Racing Association know this, but Clyde has all this footage.
Yes.
And you as a driver, if you are not able, say you come to the race by yourself and you can't get your own,
Yep.
Right.
he will let you have that.
Right.
There's three people, sponsors, vendors, and employees. I think sponsors, vendors, employees, I think are the three he lists. And if you're a sponsor of the series, such as Rock Life Off-Road, if you're a racer, such as Dan Carter, you can call Clyde, and he will say, sure, we'll get that footage right to you.
Right.
So I think sponsors, vendors, and I think employees, I think are the three people that get footage. And you can he'll get, like, how much footage you want? You want the whole thing?
Right.
I'll dump you 200 gigabytes right now.
Yeah.
Right.
You get all we have like 5 or 6 cameras and a drone plus the studio on course. He'll give you all the footage from both Friday and Saturday. So you can have all of it you want.
Right.
Yeah, so where I was going with that, there's no excuse to not have something to put out.
Right.
Or at least something to show people that don't know Like if you're going to a sponsor and like, well, this is what I do. Well, what's that? Well, here, just let me show you.
Yep.
Right.
Dylan, DPAT Photography, I think it was last year, 2021, 22, I think it was 22. Dylan, we were at Texas, and he jumped my case. He got all over for me for not having a YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, what's the big deal? And he's like, Bust a Knuckle, they do real well. They make a lot of money off YouTube. Mad Ram 11, they make a lot of money off YouTube. High Octane Films, they make a lot of money off YouTube. He said, how much money Matt make? I'm like, I don't make any. He's like, and you're the guy paying for the race car.
Yeah.
If anybody should be making money off, shouldn't it be you? And I was like, that's a really good point. And I was like, guess what? I had a YouTube channel for a decade, never done anything with it, and I'd put like little videos here and there for fun. I started working it really hard that year, and I went from like 12 subscribers all up to like 350 or whatever I'm at now. And again, I'm not crashing anything, but we started working a lot harder, putting some shorts, some reels. We started doing some YouTube videos, and again, it's amazing what you can do if you simply work at it. It takes time.
Right.
It does, and I'm going through the struggle now. The YouTube stuff is there. You can monetize it. You can make a little money on it. But even as an individual, just don't get discouraged if you don't. The worst thing that can happen is you have an archive for yourself.
Yep.
That's the absolute worst thing that can happen.
Yeah. No, and the great part is there's guys like Mr. Beast out there crushing, doing like a couple billion subscribers, or Taylor Swift. But the cool thing, and I'm very thankful for Mad Raymond and Bust a Knuckle and High Octane. I love those guys. I'm very thankful. I'd say they help make me famous every week. I'm so glad for them. They do a great job at it. I love watching their videos. I'll go home, and me and my cousins all get together. My cousin Brock, we'll get to his house and get a bunch of us together and get some snacks laid out, and we'll turn the big screen on. He just bought an 89-inch TV we're going to put downstairs. We can sit and watch all the highlight reels. It's great. I love it. But Matt Holt Racing can tell the backstory of how we got to the track, how we got home. Oh, we broke this part. Let's take it. We'll set the camera up, and we'll take it apart and show people. Last year I did a time lapse of us changing a motor out. What better? I had my Warren winch I was lifting the motor out with. What better way to show Warren winch than using the motor to pick the motor up and set it out of the car for my rail that runs the full length of my shop? Like, product display, it was awesome for that. It was awesome for the fact that I got to show me swapping out a motor. It's so cool because, again, that backstory, no one else can see Matt change the motor except Matt.
Right. And
people love that content.
And that you catch grief on that because you were the only person to have a winch sponsorship in a sport that does not allow winching. And that is the best way.
I've never thought about that.
Yes.
I mean, that shows you think out of the box when it comes to promoting your sponsors. Like, you can't be on the race course with a winch, so you're using that winch to, when you break down and pull it on the trailer, showcase your failures and turn everything into positivity. Take that post and say, well, hey, this is me using Warren winch, and I'm using it in the shop, change the engine. Again,
so, we've done that before. We broke. I think it was at Dyersburg one year, and I set my phone or GoPro or whatever on the edge of the trailer at the very front of it, winched the bouncer on, and showed how my Warren winch did a great job winching it on a trailer, and they shared that, and it got tons of views on their page. Talking a little bit about, so there's a thing called endemic brands and non-endemic brands. What that is so I run Mickey Thompson Tires. I'm sponsored by them. I work with them very closely on this new 3rd gen tire. I love it. That is considered an endemic brand. They're racing tires that are sponsored because I use their tires. A non-endemic brand would be like a cell phone company. I don't use a cell phone to race my buggy, so if they sponsor me, that would be a non-endemic brand. People miss non-endemic brands all the time. 2 I wrote down that I love throwing out to off-road people is Bounty Paper Towels and Dawn Dish Soap.
Yep.
Right.
How many buggies do you see going after Downy paper towels? We use them every week in the shop, at the race, at washing the car, whether wiping stuff off our goggles.
Right.
I mean, I go through rolls and rolls of paper towel. I'm like, those are 2 I would love to lock them down because the videos I could do for them would be bananas.
Oh, for sure.
Cell phone companies, insurance companies. Wouldn't it be cool to see the Mayhem guy rocking a rock bouncer and crash and run over a bunch of cars in a commercial?
Right.
Thinking outside the box there is definitely a great way to do it. And again, how are you thinking outside the box? And again, there's marketing companies that do nothing but like Coca-Cola, Miller Welders. There's a couple other people I know. Coca-Cola, Miller Welders specifically, they do not do their own marketing. They hire a marketing firm to advertise for them. You can call those places and pick their brain, ask them questions. Hey, I have an off-road shop. Let's kind of a back way in. Hey, I own an off-road shop. I want you to do some marketing for me. There's my budget. What can you do for me?
Right.
You can sit down and pick those guys' brain or talk to them and say, hey, I want money. How can you help me team up with another company? I can do some cool stuff or create some cool content, and I'll kind of over-deliver and under-promise. way more than the next guy.
Right,
you know?
right.
So, and again, that's kind of your way in the door for maybe some other stuff. Kind of think outside the box a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's so many things, and it is. You said it earlier. It's work. All this is work.
It is a grind.
Right.
It is a grind. You know, me and Dan have. I like to think of, whatever he does, I'm involved in it. That's just
Yes, I
that's
agree.
just how we are. And
Yep.
and if we was to pick up $100,000 sponsor tomorrow, he would get
Yep.
his half,
Yep.
and I wouldn't bat an eye.
Yep.
But there's just it's so much work, and
It is.
it's a lot for one person to do.
It's a ton.
And so if you need help, and if you're somebody I think that is looking to grow your program, and you need help, people need to reach out to people like
Yes.
you
Yes.
or somebody.
And I will gladly. I've helped Dan. Like, hey,
Right.
maybe try this or try this. And again, in the beginning, I noticed right away. I noticed this dude is hungry. He's trying to do stuff. And again, Dan was so much like me. He's like, I don't know what to do, but I want to do more. I was the same way. Literally
Right.
a decade ago, I was this goober that just thought you just asked people and they gave you money.
Right.
And I knew nothing. I couldn't even spell the word marketing. And now, I'm teaching classes and doing other stuff on how to do marketing, how to do sponsorships, how to do brand recognition. How can I help you, enhance your brand and really dive into some of that. And I have no problem helping asking the guy a question. Like I said, I know people have called me before. I've helped them out. Dan obviously is partnered with you guys, and you guys have a great marketing plan. Your branding is insane. I love it. And again, like I said, me and Bree talk about it just because Dan always has fire merch. Again, you obviously have a bunch of T-shirts. You just partner with a new sunglass company, which is awesome. Because
Yes.
you know who needs sunglasses? Everyone. And I kind of talk about that a little
Right.
bit in marketing. I say, like think of Optima battery. I run not Optima, Odyssey. I run an Odyssey battery. I love Odyssey batteries. I pay full price for my stuff. I bought them, and I love their stuff. But if I wanted to write a marketing plan for them, a kind of sponsorship program, you know what needs a battery? You know what needs a 12-volt battery? Everything.
That's right.
Every on-road car, every off-road car, lawnmowers, jet boats, everything needs a 12-volt battery.
Right.
So I'm literally competing against every single other person in the world. Every drift car, every drag race car, NHRA, you name it, it needs a 12-volt battery. And almost everybody in racing has all gone towards a dry cell battery. So now if you want an Odyssey battery, it's going to you're competing against literally every other vehicle on the planet that takes a 12-volt battery.
Right.
So you better have because that dude's going to end up with a marketing stack. And again, that's not even the marketing person. Their marketing team is probably so big. They have marketing, and then there's motorsports marketing.
Right.
So you need to call and make sure you're talking to the motorsports marketing person and really pushing that. Otherwise, you're not going to end up with the right person. It's not going to go well. And again, it's, funny story I actually had when I first started getting Odyssey battery. I put a thing on Facebook and I was like, hey, who knows somebody at Odyssey? I'm trying to get a good battery.
Right.
And another buddy of mine who does some marketing stuff reached out and said, hey, I got a buddy. It's going to be great. He's going to hook you up. He's going to give you like 10% off this battery. And he wants a Facebook tag. He wants on the
Yep.
car. He wants on the T-shirt. He wanted the moon, and he was going to give me 10% off. And his 10% off discount was literally like $20 more than I could buy it online and have it shipped to my door for.
We
Right.
went through that last year. I'm not going to name drop
Yeah.
anybody, but we reached out to a company, and they were like, "Yes, we will take you in.
Right.
Here's your 15% off.
Yep.
Here's you got to do one post every so often.
Yep.
You got to send it in to us
Yep.
for approval before you post it. You got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to do this." And I
No,
just said, "I'll buy your
Yep.
stuff."
Right.
Most
right.
racer discounts, pro tip here, most racer discounts is anywhere from 15 up to 35%.
Yeah.
So if
Right.
I call, obviously Summit's a little harder because everybody calling Summit pretty much is a race car driver of some form.
Yeah.
You could be buying just cool parts, running boards for your truck. But most of the time, if you're calling Summit, you're calling for race product. They're probably as big a discount as if you call someone who's selling, like a race fuel company. Everybody that's calling is a race car guy.
Yeah.
Right.
But there are some companies that maybe deal more general, like a tire company that not everybody races, but everybody needs tires. So, obviously Mickey Thompson's more off-road. They have a huge off-road, following. They've been doing off-road for decades. So, that thing is obviously a little more off-road because they're an off-road company. But there's some companies that go, oh yeah, 30. We'll give you. You're a race car. Oh yeah, send me some of your packets, and we'll sell you that product at 35% discount. You're like, well, that's awesome. It might be 15, might be 20%.
Right.
But that's just a racer discount. Thanks for being a race car driver. Tell people about how great our product is if they ask. That's
Right.
all
Yeah.
they. That's
Yeah.
And that's not a bad deal.
No.
But what is the bad deal is Black Friday sales.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I try to tell a lot of these newer guys when they're like, hey, Dan, what do you think about this sponsorship with company A? They're looking at giving us 10% off. We have to run their sticker. We have to give them this post
Yep.
or whatever. And I'm like, well, what product is it? And go back on their social media and look what they did for Black Friday.
Yeah.
If they gave a 25% or 30% discount Black Friday, buy it Black Friday and scratch that company off. Don't scratch their back for something that you can get at a better deal.
Well, I think that would be a situation like, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, buy the product, run it, and then in a year, reach back out to that company and be like, hey, man, I've been running your stuff
That's right.
for a year.
Yeah, totally.
You know, it's good. I love it. I want to continue running it. And then try and get in that way.
That's right.
And you might even be able to, again, say, like, for instance, SCS, we run an SCS Transportation, they're a sponsor of the series. Everybody runs an SCS.
Yeah.
So if I call Craig over at SCS and go, hey, I want a 35% discount because I'm a race car driver, he goes, like, yeah, everyone in the bouncer class, every single driver runs an SCS. So, I'm not giving you a discount, Matt. I'd be like, all right, thanks, Craig. Click. And, but if I needed to buy 10 of them, he might cut me a deal.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
if I said, hey, I'm going to run through my off-road shop, maybe he'll cut me a little deal there. Maybe he'll give me a wholesale discount, and I save tax and there's some other things you can kind of do that is still legitimate. That it's not something sketchy, but it's still legitimate. You can still you can funnel things a different way, help you save some money, maybe buy in bulk. Find 10 other guys that need Mickey Thompson tires and call them and go, hey, Mickey Thompson.
A lot of companies will do buy-ins and things
say, hey,
like
listen,
that. Group buys.
I want to be a reseller for you guys. I want to, I got to buy X amount of dollars first, or send me a picture of your signage, show me a display where you're going to put it at, make room in your display, show me where you're going to put it at, and then like how they walk in the door, and yeah, sure, we'll do that.
Right.
Talk to some lighting companies about doing some stuff, and a lot of them said, we want to know your signage, how many square inches in your store are you going to dedicate to us, and yeah, you could possibly do something like that. And then again, there are some companies, rim and tire companies are probably the biggest. Everybody runs through rims, everybody runs through tires, and you get a new vehicle, now you want to buy rims and tires again, so they're pretty good about putting out product or money, or both, whereas if, you don't necessarily need a new transfer case every year.
Yeah.
Even if Craig was to partner with some guys, he's not going to be giving a bunch of money out each year, because he's like, you buy it, you might keep it for 5 years. Unless you're Timmy building a chassis every year.
Well, yeah.
You might buy it, keep that same chassis for 20 years.
We've got a dirt bike drag race going on right behind us, guys.
So you might, like I said, some stuff you're going to go through, tires you might go through every single season, so that way you're hitting Mickey Thompson continuously. Whereas a 14-bolt rear axle, when you buy really good 40-spline chabs, buy them once, you have them for 5 years. So it's not like you're continuously re-upping that. It's not a consumable type product.
All right, so let's sum it up a little bit.
Okay.
If you had to pick one or two things like that are the necessities, the top of the importance list. If you're a race car driver out here, and that's who we're talking to right now is our guys.
Right.
Yep.
What is your go-to, your things that they need or have to do?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll try to answer it quick. One of the biggest things is Dan talked a little about ROI. The biggest problem I see and the biggest mistake I see is guys walk in and they call Mickey Thompson or RCV or whoever, and they go, hey, I got $10,000 I got to spend this year on diesel fuel. That's what I need from a sponsorship. That company does not give a flying rip what you need.
Right.
They care about what they need.
Right.
Okay? It's like walking home and you and your girlfriend get home at the same exact time. You're both exhausted, tired from a long day at work, and you walk in and you go, hey, I want supper on the table in 10 minutes, and I'm going to take a hot shower because I had a long day. Do you think she cares about what you did today? Do you think she really is concerned about how your day went after she had a flustered day too? No. She's going to be like, you can make dinner. I'm going to take a shower. So
I'd wake up in the hospital.
Yeah. So you need to understand what the company needs. If the company is paying you for rock, they need 14 tons of rock.
Right.
They don't need 10 tons. They don't need 3 tons. They don't need 14 tons of rock next year. They need 14 tons, and it needs to be on this date. You need to understand what they need to understand the ROI. Going to a meeting, sitting down, having a board meeting with some guys, or having a big talk with some marketing guys. Once you make it to that stage, and there's a lot of things you can do to get that stage. Once you sit down with them, the first thing out of your mouth should be, what are your marketing goals for this year, and what's your 3 to 5 year plan, and how can I help you meet that goal? If you say that out of your mouth, those guys are probably going to be blow their socks off and be like, holy cow, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Like, he cares about us. He's not, hey, give me my money. He's saying, how can I help you hit your goals? And think about it. If you hauled that guy and you said, hey, I can't really swing it right now. I need a couple tons of rock. And the guy backs in with 14 tons, dumps it all, gets a skid steer out, and levels it all off, and makes your parking lot look beautiful. You're gonna be like, dude, I'm gonna call you. I'm sending you a Christmas card.
Right.
I'm gonna bring cookies by at Christmas time. I'm gonna tell all my friends about you. I'm gonna post on social media. You're gonna be blown away.
Right.
So if you can over deliver on that sponsorship and help them reach their goals and be constant contact, that's another big thing. Every week I send race reports out every single week. I don't care if I go 10 feet and smoke a motor. I am sending race reports out. I'm talking about, hey, this is what we did this week. I got one drop on Monday about the last race, and then I'll have this race will drop usually a week, 2 weeks later. I email every single one of my sponsors, the marketing person at that company. I talk to them. I call them and talk to them on the phone. Hey, what's up? How's it going? I still don't have that merch yet. Can you send me a new T-shirt? I have lots of hoodies that are great for wintertime, but we're getting summertime. I want to wear some cool merch. Right. How can I wear your T-shirt and talk about your company? T-shirts are great. Everybody loves T-shirts. Hat. Everybody loves a free hat. You can do it. You can get people to do crazy stuff at a college campus for a free T-shirt. Right. So having good merch, walking around with that good merch on. Again, I know you guys. We talk about it all the time about having great merch. You guys have cool wraps. The Dale Earnhardt T-shirt I love. I'm an Earnhardt fan, so that was kind of neat. Talking to them and helping them reach their goals, even if it starts out with just a parts. Say it starts at a discount. Hey, we'll give you 50% off. We'll give you 80% off. A lot of times, 50% markup on products. Say McDonald's pays 50 cents for the Coke, and that's what they have in it. They're selling it for $1.
Yep.
So most companies, if they're truly giving you a good discount, it's about 50%, and that's basically, this is what it costs me to make the product. I'm not making a dime, so you're getting 50% off, which if you're buying a $10,000 motor, $5,000 is a big discount. That's a lot of money.
That's right.
If you're getting a $2,500 set of rims and you're getting them for half that, that's a really good discount. So they might not say, hey, I can't. I'm a small company. And that's another big talking about their marketing budget. A little bit, not to get too down that rap hole, but if I call Brian Dunnigan and I say, hey, Brian, what's your marketing budget? And you go, it's $2,500 for the year, Matt. I go, okay, well, guess what? My $100,000 book that I'm about to drop in front of you, and it's going to ask for my $100,000 sponsorship this year, we're going to wrap the whole buggy, we're going to paint it Rock Life colors, and we're going to do this. We're going to wrap the truck and wrap the trailer, but man, I need $100,000, but we're going to do big things this year. It's going to be crazy. You're like, my budget's only $2,500. I don't think you understand that. Like, you're wasting my time and yours.
Right.
So you need to understand, first of all, who's the right person to talk to that company. Is it, do they have, if it's big like Walmart, Coca-Cola, they have marketing, and they have probably a small division of motorsports marketing just for race cars. Right. Whether it be NASCAR, NHRA, whatever. So then you need to get to the right guy. Once you talk to him, ask him, just ask him, hey, what's your budget this year? What's your annual budget? And again, talking about budgets, I know me and Dan have talked about this before. If their budget, a fiscal budget, is due in August, okay? So meaning they have to submit their budget for the following year is due in August. If you come to them in December or even January, like say I approach somebody in January 2024 about, hey, I'm racing this year. Our race kicks off in about 30 days. Can I get some money? They're going to go, were you in the budget I submitted last August? Well, no. Okay, well, maybe call me in 6 months and I'll work with you for next year.
I think that is something people miss. People think it's all now.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's not. You've got to be a year ahead.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're 6 months out minimum.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're working a sponsorship deal, which I'm working with one racer now, we're sponsorship stuff. He is looking down the road, and he's looking for some other stuff, kind of bigger on a small scale, but could hopefully balloon into some bigger stuff, and it's going to be decent. And that way it can grow with the program. Right. So if you're looking for something bigger, you need to be looking 6 months to a year in advance and that's usually just some good product discounts or even free product. If you're looking to sign dollar deals, you had better be on the podium each week. You've been crushing it and talking in a year, because they have to submit a budget for that. They can't just go, I need $50,000, I need $100,000, I need $35,000.
Yeah.
You can't just make a phone call and get a $100,000 sponsorship.
Right.
It ain't gonna happen. I don't care who you are. It's not gonna happen. Again, I would love to run Timmy sponsorship, bro. Oh man, I would own that guy. Like, listen, he's won 8 championships in a row, and he wins every single week in 2 different classes. Like, let me help you. Problem is, there's a lot of companies like Chase Elliott, perfect example. Chase Elliott races NASCAR. Elliott, very familiar name in NASCAR. Mm-hmm. Chase Elliott says, I do more openings for Napa Auto Parts than I do races. I spend more time by far going to Napa stores and shaking hands at a new store opening, doing customer appreciation day in these little tiny towns for Napa, shaking hands, kissing babies. I spend way more time doing that than I do racing my NASCAR.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the extra work is where it's at.
Yeah. But they're paying him millions of dollars. Yeah. Like, hey, you want me to go open a store?
Right.
I'll sweep the floor the night before. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but see, it's also that it needs. You've got to show the commitment.
Totally.
And that's where a lot of guys that I see, like, man, I must be nice to be sponsored. And then it's like, yeah, it is, but you've got to bust your butt to be there, and you've got to be busting your butt when you're not racing. And that's what a lot of them, you know, the first thing they say is, it must be nice to be sponsored. How do I get sponsors? They're not consistently racing. It's these guys may run the events that are just close to home, and that's all they do. But it's like, where are you going out of your way for your sponsors to receive this return? So, take for example, we're just going to run the series. We're running all Clyde stuff, but we're only going to hit Rush. Well, what do you do? What are you doing the rest of the year?
Yeah.
And it's
like Mid America. I mean, there's, it's no secret, guys. I'm not a fan. I went out there 4 times. That is 4 times too many for me.
Right.
If it had not been for our sponsors, I would never went.
Right.
And it's, that's to me, that is part of our extra mile.
Right.
Like, that's a long way for me.
Is going somewhere you don't want to go and be there when you don't want to be there.
Like, that's stuff like that is stuff I look at.
And Matt, you even do a lot. Like, I know on some of your race schedules, we've got 10 races with Clyde. You may do 50 events a year.
Yeah.
And that's a ton. That's almost somewhere every weekend.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys don't understand. It's like, when you're seeking sponsorship, you need to keep in the back of your mind, what am I going to do if they do offer me the moon? Am I going to be available when they want me to be available?
Yeah,
so that's another thing to think about.
And again, it really kind of comes out of the commitment, having a good race page, talking about your race program. I know you guys do too. I make a little calendar, a little thing, puts my little picture of my bouncer on there, a picture of me, and has kind of the dates and times, and it's kind of cool. I'll save that, send it out. Have pop on fervor and take care of it and send it out. And that way, I seen you had one of the trailer Dana signed for you. So cool. I'm so jelly. And so, having that little marketing stuff is great. Put sponsor name at the bottom, send them out. I know other guys have done stuff with, you can sign them up and send them to sponsors. Makes a big deal. Hero cards, and some of that stuff is really, really good opportunity. And I put on my notes this: people go and pay $10,000 to go to a politician dinner or raise money for a politician. They'll pay $10,000 or $1,000 to go have a average at best chicken and just hang out and go, yeah, I supported George Bush or whoever whoever their political person run. They'll go and do this donation. They'll pay $10,000 for a horrible chicken dinner, and you're asking Joe Blow over here for $385, and you're promising the moon. So how can you help close that deal? What can you do to help make that special for him? Again, how can you help him achieve his goals?
Right.
Focus on that stuff. Really kind of bring it down. Sometimes you can start out, it may be just a discount. You start out, again, they go, we'll give you a 50% discount. All right. You start at that 50% discount. You promise him the moon, you better deliver the moon.
Yep.
Hey, 3 o'clock, you can call them. At 3 o'clock, you had better have their phone ringing. If you do that constantly, this guy's going to be, man, this guy, we only give him 50% off. Basically, we sold to him at cost. He over-delivered, did a great job this year. Next year, we're going to give him 75% off. Or next year, we might be able to throw him a little cash. Or, hey, next year we can give you some free tires. This year, it was 50% off. Next year, it was free tires. We'll get you some tires. And, you're going to start racing side-by-sides? Oh, now you're going to hook you up with side-by-side tires, too.
Right.
And now we're doubling our program. We're doubling the conversion factor. And again, then, like I said, my other tires, I've sold some off. I've given tires to people who needed tires. When I first started out racing, I was given a set of tires because I probably couldn't even afford tires. And the person said, hey.
When we first started, we took anything we could get our hands on.
Somebody who said, hey, you know what? I got some tires. I'll give you some tires. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Woo, amen.
Yeah.
I got a free set of tires. They were older. They were used. But you know what? I was very thankful for those tires. And it meant a lot to me, So, I mean, there's people that have helped me out in little ways. And again, like I said, you're starting out, you're poor, you're rubbing your 2 little nickels to get to the races, You'll take anything you get. And those guys are usually awesome, and nobody minds helping those guys out. It's guys like, no, I need $100,000. What are you giving? I'll slap a sticker on the car. Well, there's 100 other guys in this, because again, if you're going to, like, say, Lucas Oil, as an example, I know some people that work at Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil, they're selling the race car guys pretty much nonstop. Now you can also put it in 95 Ford Taurus, but those dudes have stacks every day. Every day they get a stack of dudes promising the moon with very high-end marketing materials. So if you're just bumping into somebody at a trade show, and trade shows are like one of the worst, they can be some of the best, but they can also be usually one of the worst, I would say.
Right.
Don't go to PRI show and walk up and hand some dude a proposal. He's going to be like, sweet. And that, again, PRI show, for instance, there's ladies that work the booth that are hired. They are models that come in, they put the shirt on, they work the booth, and when then the PR show's over, they go back to their local job in Indianapolis, and the guy moves, he takes his company and boxes all his stuff and goes back to Wyoming or whatever.
Right.
Those are models. So you're walking up and handing a card. I've literally seen it with my own eyes. Walk up and be like, hey, man, love to have you guys sponsor me. They're like, oh, thanks. They look at it, and then they give it, go and throw it in the trash as the dude walks out of the booth because they don't care.
Because she works at Hooters. She's not worried about
she don't
your
care.
race program.
She
and
doesn't.
She's just getting paid $100 to be there for the weekend.
And I'm, say, friends with the guy who owned the company, and I'm talking to him, and I watch this guy walk up, hand this girl a proposal, and then he walks out of the booth. Sometimes it's like just, yep, here it is, thanks, call me, or don't, whatever. And it's just a business card stapled to their proposal, and I'm like, there's no personal connection there. So even if that was the right person, guy or gal, they're not going to take that. You're like, it's just walking out. It's like dropping a business card in a fishbowl of all of them.
Right.
They're going to call you and go, hey, we would love to sell you some product. How can we sell you some product? Oh, you want a free stuff? Yeah, sorry, we don't do that. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, buddy, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's like, be creative. I mean, it's like, you got to think of this as, like, I'm trying to think of how to say this without
being offensive.
Yeah, being offensive, but you've got to be creative. Like, if it's okay, we've got huggers, and then some of the best advice I was given was, Dan, you need a business card.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't need a business card. Well, that was the best thing I could have done, was gotten a Dan Carter Racing business card with just my social media stuff on it, and I put them in my huggers. And when we were at Bristol one weekend, and we ran across shitty cooler guys.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, well, these guys, they've got shitty coolers, but they're all sitting here bumping gums.
Yep.
None of them have koozies, so I threw them all some koozies. That could have opened the door for good things, and it may have, it may hadn't,
may not. You never
know.
But
I'm friends with a girl that knows the guy that's him and his brother own the company. And they know who I am. Like, and she's like, hey, I heard you were at Bristol this weekend. I was like, yeah, we went down for the Bristol race. It's like, my shitty guys told me they saw you. And it's like,
my shitty guys.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's great. I was trying to look for one. I had some business cards at Holt Racing. It's kind of cool and neat. And again, that's a great way. Again, that kind of goes, being it's a NASCAR company, a NASCAR race, cooler companies, we don't use a cooler on the car. We have nowhere on my RockBouncers is there a place to mount a cooler. But so that would be more of a non-endemic brand.
Right.
And what a great avenue to have. I know Shannon Campbell has a cooler company that sponsors those guys.
That's the companies that I have been after.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to get one thing is I think we struggle with is all the side-by-sides have the same 10 sponsors.
Yep.
Every one of them.
Yep.
Right.
We need to reach out and get something different, bring new eyes to the sport. I think that's more what I'm interested in than anything. I realize we're not going to get rich racing UTVs, but I just want more eyes on the sport.
And
exactly.
I've been looking at finding a car trailer company, a car trailer manufacturer, somebody like PJ or somebody. I want to find the guy that does the motorsports marketing for that company and be like, you sponsor my trailer. Every time I take this trailer, 42 weekends a year, which, no, we don't always take the bouncers. So I like PRI, SEMA Show. Those are part of the events we go to, but I don't really care. They're not racing. But sometimes, we have stuff in the booths at different shows. So I want to find a trailer manufacturer and be like, listen, you build me this custom trailer. I want to haul a bouncer and a side-by-side.
Right.
Every single time I post that trailer for like at least the next 5 years, I will tag you in it. I'll post you in it. Like, we'll have obviously done teal because my colors are teal and white. Do some teal. Do a teal trailer because I've never seen a teal trailer. Do one car trailer. I said we'll post. I said I promise you'll get billions of views from it. And again, nobody thinks of having trailer manufacturers sponsor them. You know, like, and if you look around here, this park has tons of trailers in it right
Hundreds.
now.
Right.
And those are not cheap right now. Those are pretty expensive items. So, again, looking at kind of outside the box and, again, trying to work with their marketing team and figure out what's going to work best for them. And there's times it's like being. I've had some that I have worked with, called. We've had meetings set up. It's I'm thinking it's a done deal, and then they're supposed to email me, and never check the email, start calling, getting voicemail boxes, and then boom, I never hear from them. I spend months calling, emailing, and you're just ghosted. It's like being ghosted by a girl. You're all in love. I love you so much, baby, and then you never hear from her again.
Right.
Okay, it's the same way with companies. I have a shop company I dealt with. I talked to the guy who owned it or managed the marketing team. Talked with them. There was big things gonna happen. Blah blah blah. And this is before I teamed up with ADS. It was going to be awesome, blah, blah, blah. We worked tirelessly. It's going to be great. And then one day I just called him to leave him, talk to him about something, and didn't answer. Oh, that's kind of weird. So I left a message, hey, call him back, whatever. Next week goes by, I hadn't heard him. Yep, call him. Hey, what's up? Send him emails. Never heard from that dude ever again. And I was like, all right, cool. So I don't know if his budget fell through. Maybe the company got bought out. There's lots of things that can happen, and I'm not really faulting him for that. But that happens a lot with marketing teams because we have 20 grand. We might divide that into $20,000 allotments or $4,500 allotments. And I was talking to you, and I gave out 20 of them, and then they called me and go, oh, hey, yeah, you only have 18 grand this year. So now I not only have to call 2 people back and say, yeah, you don't have money, but I have another 20 that are not even going to get money either.
Right.
That money I allotted for, you have to do so much there to change a lot of that. And I'm not faulting those guys for that. It's just you really have to kind of, pay attention. And again, if you're counting on that money to be able to race this year, that's not going to go well.
Right. Yeah.
All right, buddy. We've enjoyed having you on. Next time, we'll try and have you back on at some point and talk a little bit more about you and your racing and go down your path.
Yeah.
Today was a giant infomercial.
It was, and again, I would love to come and talk about me, but this stuff is almost better because I think by hearing some of this, hopefully.
Well, if one person picks up something,
we can. I think you can honestly hear something from that. That's my wish that I pray people hear this, and next year we see a bunch of super dope rat buggies. You don't have, even if you have no sponsors. I know a kid who used to race dirt track, and one week he had sponsors, and he had a big chunk of the car right behind the front tire, didn't have it. And he said, you know what? He went to an animal shelter, got their logo, put a big animal shelter logo, and put like 3 or 4 big cutout images of graphics of cats and dogs on there.
Right.
He said, I have had more people take pictures of my car and talk about that car than all my other sponsors combined.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he gave it to him free. He said, Animal Shelter, you guys do a lot of good stuff. It really is on my heart to help you guys. He just put a bunch of big cats and dogs, took pictures, and just cut them out and stick them on there.
Right.
Looked awesome. He said, I've got more traffic. People come down just to see my car, take pictures of cats and all little kids, take pictures with them. So you could even if you have 0 sponsors, no one gives you any help, you can still help out some friends' companies or help out an animal shelter. Ron McDonald houses, they help cancer patients, families, and stuff. You can give back to people and really have it what appears to be a great marketing program. Even if you're getting $0 and you get great graphics, I always have cool graphics on mine. Last year I had a Ken Block dedicated wrap, really help out. So even if you have $0, you can still help do some cool stuff marketing wise. And again, like I said, give me a call if I can help you. Cool. If I can, I'll at least tell you, point you right in the direction. You guys both absolutely crush. And again, I really want to say thank you for having me on the podcast, as well as you guys. You kind of have that gold standard of how you run your marketing program, how you have great merch. I love the merch. I love seeing you guys are constantly trying to help out and do cool stuff.
If nothing else, we want people to know we were here.
Yeah. And Ryan Brumhole used to run the Holt buggy. He told me that one time when I was like my first race ever. I'm excited, just high on life, happy to even be here, be like on this side of the tape, and be a big deal. And he goes, hey, kid, nobody remembers first place. He's like, do something cool today. I'm like, okay, thanks, And halftime, Timmy wins, and it's in 12.9 seconds. Nobody even remembers the run. But that dude that did the double backflip, people talk about that nonstop. So why not do it on your own social media? You may not wreck here, but you can post some cool videos or cool stuff or to burnouts or just, again, using your Warren winch to winch your buggy on the trailer. You can do a lot of cool stuff on your own social media and really promote it that people might be talking about the next day. Some of those viral cool videos I've seen were not anything crazy. It was just some kind of cool video, and it goes viral. People start watching it, and you're like, okay, whatever, So definitely cool. And if, like I said, if I can help anybody, and I know you guys do an amazing job, I really can. We talk about it all the time on Live Feed. Cool merch, Rock Life Off-Road that does a great job at your specific merch, as well as Dan Carter has always had great merch. So I really have a lot of commend you guys in doing it. And I'm so glad I got to come here and thank you publicly and say, hey, keep crushing it. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. We'll be, I'm not sure when I'm putting this out yet.
Okay.
It'll probably be
before or after the construction work, the drag races, anything that anybody could possibly do. Like, we need some jackhammers, and then we need a bunch of subs in the back.
The only thing we're missing is DC Thompson.
Yeah. Like
hit bike wheelie and past us.
Yeah. If we had
DC. It could be as quiet as a church mouse in here, and then we fire up the podcast stuff, and everybody's like, let's see how good we're getting up in there.
Oh, good times.
Right on. Well, we appreciate you coming. We'll have you back on.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you what.
Well, so we got a few things we didn't even hit on here. So I would love to come back.
We could have a part 2. I'll tell you what. You give me 2 finishes in the same weekend,
Okay.
and we'll have you back on.
I got to get my leg healed up first. It's still.
No, you can do it.
Oh,
I'm like
now.
2 finishes
listen,
in the same
I'm
weekend.
like
You've
3.5
got that
weeks out
tomorrow.
from like shattering my fibia.
Oh, listen.
No.
It really is. I'll show you. Actually.
And that's
When you get 2 finishes the same weekend, we'll come back on. We'll do part 2.
Okay.
Right on.
and I think we need to give a safety warning. You talking about your leg?
Yeah.
Is just watch out for this guy here.
Yeah.
He's,
You know what?
He's
Hey, I
bad
said,
luck.
hey, there's not a lot of accountants out there breaking bones each day. Okay, I'm
That's
doing
right.
life. Like I
Yeah.
said, we travel a lot, we do a lot.
You're doing
You
something.
know,
Yeah.
we do a lot. Trust me, I am busier than anybody I know.
you said that nobody could tell your story other than you, and you're absolutely right about that. And guys, I want you to take that in mind. Nobody can tell your story but you, so make sure that it's worth telling.
Yeah.
Right on, guys. We'll see you all.
Peace.
Thank you, Matt Hope.
Peace out.
Bye.